Hi guys, so do you have lots of sprues just sitting around in your boxes, your drawers, cupboards, well anywhere really? Well stick around and I'll show you how you can turn these into some into the dark sort of Spacehulk walls, columns and other bits and pieces. Okay guys, let's get into it. So since making the Warhammer 40k chess set and the assembling all the kill teams that I've recently got, I've got lots of sprues, which is pretty cool. So all you need for this is obviously your snips, some glue and a scalpel just to help sort of clean up the sprues afterwards. And then what I generally do is, because obviously the sprues have a whole variety of weird looking bits in the middle, I like to cut the middle bit out just to keep the outer edge of the sprue, as obviously this has some nice long straight sort of bits. Some of the sprues you get will have lots of straight bits in the middle, but generally the first thing I normally do is cut out the middle and keep the edge. And then yeah, say cutting these all down into sort of smaller lengths, and you can see there is lots and lots of nice straight edges, which is pretty cool. So these obviously need tidying up, and what we basically do is we cut off all the nibbly nobbly bits. So that's anything that's protruding off the sprue, we cut off. I do keep all these bits though, because I put these into a jar, fill it full of acetone, and then I turn that into sprue goo, which is really good as using as a filler or making things. So I have recently, or in the past, I have made panels out of sprue goo. So yeah guys, go check out some of my older videos and you'll be able to see all the things that I've made so far with sprues. So obviously the nibbly nobbly bits are off, but I want these to be a little bit cleaner, as these will be glued next to each other, and that's why I'm using the scalpel just to sort of scrape along it to yeah, make them a lot smoother and easier to glue. Just so things don't get stuck to my desk or make too much of a mess, using the greaseproof paper there, as obviously, well, nothing really sticks to that. So yeah, it's just a case of getting the sprues, they're all cut to the same length, and gluing them together. As you can see, obviously they are different sort of thicknesses on one side or the other. So it's a case of gluing one together, then getting the next one, flipping it over, and then gluing that in. So they interlocked really nice. This is obviously where, depending on how much time you take, there'll be like little bits of a gap or no gap, depending on how much time you take on cleaning the sprues up. Yeah, obviously the one I've gone for fairly quick and easy. Because obviously this is into the dark sort of Spacehulk terrain, so it can look a little bit sort of battered and worn. Obviously I want these sort of panels to interlock into the sort of center columns, so I'm going to have sort of one sprue that's going to be longer than the others. Well, I'm actually going to end up with 3 sprues longer than the other. Just so this way it's like having tabs on the end of the panels, as they'll then interlock into the columns and make things so they don't obviously fall over. So that's a couple of panels made. Now on to making, say, the columns that are going to go in between and make everything sort of, well, help stand things up. So again, I've got loads of sprues here, sort of glued together. But say, as I want to interlock the panels into these, I'm going to leave a little gap. But I'm going to use some sprues just to obviously keep everything sort of, well, together really. Then using the panel as a kind of a reference, I can work out where I need to put some more of these sort of like little cross members inside the column. Again, just for a bit more support, strength, and it'll lock in a lot nicer and a lot tighter because it'll have these ones nice and close. So it's almost like you kind of get into a little production line here, making several sort of parts at the same time. And yeah, so obviously I use normal glue here, but we use a combination of normal glue and a cement glue, just because obviously one's quicker and one's slower. And yeah, making little sort of top caps and everything for it, and yeah, it all sort of goes together nice and well. So obviously this can be used for the into the dark sort of terrain stuff, or any kind of sort of obstacles terrain you might want to make for any sort of Warhammer or even kill teams. So I obviously want to cut out the door, because this is going to be for like the kill team sort of wall. So I'm using one of these little drill bits. It normally comes with a Dremel. I don't know where the Dremel's gone, but I've got all the bits. But this is obviously a bit old, because I tried to persevere with this and it took forever to try and cut through. Obviously when I do these kind of things I do wear masks guys, as obviously the dust from the plastic, well, it isn't good for you. So yeah, as you can see I kind of gave up in the end and I used my scalpel. So I actually scored around it. I probably went round quite a few times. So it did take quite a while to actually cut this door out, probably longer than it took to do anything else. But obviously good old perseverance, and yeah, there you go. So I've made kind of hinges, but obviously it's not going to be hinged. I had thought about using magnets, but it kind of like sort of stays in place as is, which is pretty cool.
And then it's just a case of obviously adding bits and pieces to the walls and the columns just to make them look more, well, more like they've been on a spaceship really. So I'm using these sort of knobby bits, and these are going to be the lights. So that's a good thing. So this is fully made with sprues. There's nothing else used here, it's just sprues. I possibly could have made this, say, from sprue goo, because the panels would then have been a lot sort of smoother, flatter, and would have probably looked better. But I know a lot of people don't use acetone and make sprue goo, so that's why I thought I'd make this one purely with the sprues just being cut up and then used obviously however you want really, just to say, just kind of like decorate the pieces, and to obviously add a few sort of bits of texture and a few things that sort of going on really. So the other good thing with these sprues is because they are quite soft plastic, it is easy to sort of, well, scrape them. So you can turn these kind of like squarish sort of sprues into round sprues. Well, not necessarily round, but you kind of know what I mean. So yeah, sort of scraping down and twisting the sprue as we go kind of makes it into more of a tube looking sort of thing. And again, it's the usual sort of thing. The more time you take, the neater and smarter you can make things look. But say I'm just doing this as an example. I'm not making a full sort of board with this, mainly because obviously I 3D printed one, which I absolutely love and adore. I just wanted to show what you can do with sprues, rather than sort of leaving them in the drawers, in the boxes, or even throwing them away. This is a great way to obviously recycle the things and get some use out of them. And I say, obviously this is a hobby, so I appreciate not everyone will want to do this because it will take quite some time. But yeah, you just make a few panels here and there, and before you know it, you'll have a full amount, and obviously it's not cost you anything. So the other thing, obviously, with the sprues, you can make thin wires. So just holding it above a little tea light there. Obviously, careful not to sort of set the thing on fire. And then, yeah, once it starts to sort of soften up, you can slowly pull it apart, and you get some nice thin wires out of sprues. Again, I am wearing a mask for this, just because obviously you can't really see any smoke coming off, but there may be fumes there. So yeah, health and safety, guys. Wear masks where appropriate. And then we can just glue those wires down, and then yeah, onto the fun bit of the painting. And as usual, I primed mine in black. The only reason really for this is the fact that I've got loads of black spray cans, as I bought quite a lot, as it was cheaper than buying them singly. So yeah, good old primed in black. And then I'm making mine a bit of a bit of a rust buckety looking thing. So I'm going to start off with doing some dry brushing with some silver, and then some dry brushing with some copper, as this just makes it look sort of more metallic and a little bit shiny. But obviously I don't want this to be too shiny, because I say this is going to be a rust bucket. So I'm then going over and using green stuff while dipping inks. I'm using radiant orange. Again, because obviously this has got a nice sort of, it says it's orange, but it's got a nice sort of orangey brown sort of colour to it. So instantly gives it a bit of a rust sort of look. And then once that's dry, you can just go around and sort of adds a bit of colour into a few bits and pieces here and there. So obviously got the yellow light done, well, yellow, funny enough. And obviously doing the all the wiring, I'm doing mine in red, just to sort of help it stand out a little bit more. And then we obviously need the good old warning hazard bits somewhere on this. And so yeah, I'm using the sort of thin masking tape there. And yeah, just sort of dabbing the yellow, just so it's not too even, then looks a little bit sort of well, worn, battered and all the rest of it. And as I want this to be sort of like, say, a rust bucket, I'm going to add loads more sort of rusty sort of looking texture to the bottom parts. So I'm using a variety of browns, starting off with a darker one, then I'm going to use some lighter browns, and then I'll end up using a bit of orange on it. And then I'm going to use something I've never really used before, and that's weathering powder. I actually bought these about a month or two ago for a different project, but I didn't actually start it in the end. So yeah, I've got two different types of weathering powder, and yeah, so I've never used these before. I've had watched a few videos, and it does just seem to be a case of dabbing it here and there, and obviously shaking the excess off, and then spraying it with sort of like clear varnish just to sort of keep it in place. And yeah, really loving how obviously these things look. These are definitely nice and weathered, and it all goes really well together. Say it's obviously on the Spacehulk board that comes with the Into the Dark kill team. And here's my custom custodes with well, yeah, changeable arms, just so I can obviously give them swords and shields, or the big old spiky bit. And yeah, I think it worked out really well. Say, nice cheap way of doing things, because obviously you are just recycling something. Yeah, it does take a little bit of time, but again, it's all about the hobby. It was obviously fun to make things. So yeah, one thing I did quickly notice that I hadn't done any sort of glow around the light bulbs. So doing a bit of dry brushing with some white first, just so when I go over with the yellow, some areas are going to be brighter than others, and then obviously sort of fading it away from there. And yeah, so this is done. A simple little paint job. Obviously you guys do whatever kind of paint job you sort of prefer, but yeah, it just shows you can take all those lovely unwanted sprues and turn them into something something more usable, which is pretty cool.
Hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and you've sort of got something out of this on how to turn all those unwanted sprues into, well, some terrain pieces that you can certainly sort of use, which would be pretty awesome. Yeah, let me know in the comments, guys, what you thought of this video, what you might want to see me make next, whether it's things out of sprues or just general painting. Don't forget, there's a video just here. Click on that and go and see more of what I do. Obviously, all my social links are here. If you want to become a patron like these lovely people here to help support the channel, yeah, that'd be great as well. And also, Chaos Cards, link just below. Go and click on them. And currently, if you use the discount code KILLTEAM, you'll get 5% off any order over £30 on their miniature range, which would be pretty cool. So go check them out, guys. Okay, well, thanks for watching. You guys all take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.